but by manipulating the conversation, by changing them into the surroundings of the worst spot in the house is just an absolute brilliant move. Hello and welcome, everybody. I want to introduce you to some of my really good friends in the industry, some of the best closers I know. I brought them into the closing table to have a conversation about closing. My name is Scott Snofke. I'm a direct marketing coach here with REIPrintMail. I brought in today two of the best that I know in the industry, and it's Alex and Jamie Corona with Corona Realty Group up in Chicago. They do a phenomenal job. So without further ado, Alex, Jamie, thanks for coming on today. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to step in and kind of take an inside look at from the point of the seller calls you or you reach out to a potential seller, how you manipulate that into a deal, how you structure your deals, and then how you disposition your deals to help some of our people that like and follow our page. So in doing that, so at the point of when the seller calls you, say it's off a direct mail or however you get your, an inbound lead and they call you and they want to sell your property, how do you handle it? And then how do you build it out to structure the deal? Talk to me about that.
So that's where I come in. I'm on the front end of the deal. So I reach, let's say I get an inbound lead, they want to sell us one of their properties. First thing I'm going to do is set up an appointment to get over there and take a look at the property. I like to meet the people.
Belly to belly, I like it.
The reason being, once they meet me, they're going to know, like, and trust me, and they're going to want to continue to do business with us. And most of the time, they even have another property that they're looking to sell, but they want to see what's going on with this one first. So that's why I come over there. I meet them. And again, I'm not going over there with any paperwork for them to sign, or I'm not pushing them in any which way possible. I'm going over there, taking some measurements, taking some notes. I want to see how old the roof is. Is it original windows, furnace, water heater? I'm looking for signs of water coming in. I want to see the condition of the whole entire property. So that way I could come back to my office, mastermind with Jamie, and we can come up with an offer. We actually just locked up one this morning. And the good thing about me, I'm actually very smart enough to know that Jamie's better at negotiating than I am. So she's my negotiator. She's the one that locks these deals down for me. So I just go out there, meet them the first day, again, get some notes, get some measurements, bring them back. And then Jamie and her team takes it over from there. And it's awesome.
So real quick, just following up on that is you're the belly to belly. You light up the room. I've met you personally, and I could just imagine coming into my house and wanting to look at my property that you're building just an extreme level of rapport and trust with the client. And then you're sticking to what you're really good at. And then you're handing it over to Jamie with she's really good at. And as you're handing that over, because you're going with your strength and then you're handing it over to her strength. And so Jamie, at the point that he hands you the deal, what are you looking for?
So by the time Alex gets to me, I get to learn a lot about the property itself. And then I evaluate it based on something if we're interested in buying or if it's something that we would put on the market for them to list it. And so we go over a lot of different figures with that, with condition, what we have to do, what are dollar figures as far as if we acquired it for this, what are we going to put into it? Do we want to do that? And things of that sort. But my goal when I speak with the seller is to find out what their goal is in terms of timeline. Why is the reason why they're selling it? How much time do they have? What's going to put them into the best financial position to where that they can move on and accomplish the goal that they're trying to do? Because although we would love to acquire every property for cash at our number, if they have some time and they need to pull out more money and it makes more sense for us to list it for them, we're going to suggest that for them. So whatever's going to really benefit the client most with what their goals are, that's what we start crunching numbers to do. So we give them several options. So then that way they pick what options they're doing. They never feel like they have to do anything. This is just, here's what all the facts are. Here's what the numbers are. We're in the business of making money. Here's where our numbers lie and why. And if that doesn't work for you, we can do this. And here's what all that process entails. And then I had the departments that actually take us from start to finish of those processes. So whether or not it's something that we acquire and we buy for cash, or we put it to where we're going to list it and we're scheduling photography and putting them in touch with our transaction departments, I'm the one that actually tells them what to expect and who to contact for those any sort of situation that we end up signing them up with.
Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic 1-2 punch. And I love the fact that, you're just coming in as a problem solver. You're like, hey, what are your needs? I'm an expert. Let me figure out what path where you need to get at. And let me show you several paths to get you to that position, to one that continues that rapport that Alex brought to you. And then once you start talking to him, all you're doing is continuing that same thought process a little bit further and putting yourself in a helping position and saying, okay, inside of the industry, I know that we can do this, this, and this, and they might not be familiar with it. So you can take the time to show them, to walk them through, to get them to understand and teach them that tool. Does that kind of sound what that's
100%.
you guys are working through?
Yeah.
So
Right. And then at the end, you're evaluating whether this is a deal for your company as a buy and hold, or a position that, you're going to disposition that to a wholesale or take them to an actual listing. And that's, I love about brokers and realtors and that, because you can go in so many different directions. You guys are experts inside of the industry, and you can just simply sit down with them, hold their hand the whole way, and show them all of these different models. Is there anything else that, is a special tactic, Alex? When you first get there, are you the type of person that walks in and finds a spot to sit down and lower yourself to make yourself more friendly? Or are you just the light that you are? And like me, I walk in, I'm laughing and joking and just trying to build a comfort level. How do you first do that when you walk in a room?
There's no doubt about it. While I'm walking through the house, there's one thing that I did forget to mention that I do get every single time before I leave out of that house is I need to get a number from them. What is it that you want for this property? So that way I know two things. One, are we going to try to purchase this property? Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to go in there and lowball them and make them feel like, oh, they just try to come over here and just take my property. So I try to figure out what is it that they're trying to get and see if I could get to that number. If I can't get to that number, no problem. Then we'll list your property. We'll make it retail. Or if it makes sense, there's other ways to take it down as well. But that's what I need to know is that number. And most of the time, that number is less than even what I'm thinking about paying. So that's why it's very important to get that number from them. So if they tell you less, bam, you're already saving some money, and then you give them what they want. Everybody's happy. And most importantly, that repeat business. Now they have another person that wants to sell their home, or they have another home, or their sister, their brother. I can't tell you how many people bring us referrals just on these properties that we're purchasing. We have over 1,300 five-star reviews. So when people look us up, they see we do good business. So that off the bat, they're welcoming us into their home, and we're just having conversations with them. And yes, what I do is I actually, while I'm doing this tour, I look for what is the worst place in this whole entire home. And that's where we're going to stand in when I'm asking these questions. If it's the kitchen and it's dilapidated and needs a whole upgrade, we're going to stand in the kitchen. If there's no, if there's furniture, then, that's a little different. We'll sit in one of the areas that needs some work. That way, when we're talking about it, they're looking around and they're like, what, I got to unload this thing. And when we come at them the next day, it's all about the little details that count. So, we're bringing them into these parts of the house and they see that, yeah, this thing is going to need a lot of work. And I'm asking them, what is it that you want for this, the place? And they're like, 100, I'm looking around, maybe I'll take 80. So, and you ask them questions like, what is your immediate cash needs? Do you need to get rid of this thing now, or are you okay with sitting on this thing for a few more months?
Yeah. And I want to touch on that really quick, because that's absolutely brilliant. That's almost it's the first time I've heard that inside of the industry. I've heard sitting down belly to belly and getting them into a comfortable position, but by manipulating the conversation, by changing them into the surroundings of the worst spot in the house is just an absolute brilliant move. Because yeah, you're right. When they look around, they're in that environment of repair. And so everywhere they look, they see more repair. It's not like they're looking at the best case, they're looking at the worst case. That's a phenomenal trait. I love that. Jamie, what were you about to say?
I was just going to mention that there's times actually where they've given him a number and then he brings it back to me and we think about it and we're like, man, that number is high. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll just go the listing route where we'll put it on for retail. And then then they say, well, when we start talking retail, then they're like, well, wait a minute, you don't want to buy it? We said, well, our number is X or whatever it may be. And then they go back and they say, well, they counter us. And they're like, because they like the convenience of sometimes the speed of it, not having to put it on the market, not having to sell it, not having to go through showings, not having to go through waiting for a lender and things of that sort. Sometimes if they can get us to come up a little bit, they're willing to come down too, where then everybody wins. They get something done very quickly, a transaction. And of course we acquire a property that we have a project to do.
Right. I talk about that situation a lot. It's no different than how we sell our vehicles. Is oftentimes we don't want the headaches and we don't want the hassles of going and repairing it and taking it for test drives and getting the full value of the vehicle out. It's so much easier to just take it to the dealerships. Like, what do you get me? Negotiate on that a little bit and then you move on. And a lot of people are now just starting to understand that they can actually trade their house in like they trade their car in. With you guys being experts inside of the industry, you're going to be able to show them that, be like, okay, we can do this or this or this, and sit down and then and let me walk you to the end of that and analyze it. But this is why I wanted you guys on so bad, because I know you guys are phenomenal closers, and your abilities are ridiculous, and you're going to bring so much content to this conversation. And I look forward to getting feedback back from people that have liked and followed and subscribed to this to see more of this. But also, where can you be found? You can be I know the 727 podcast, is that right? Up in Chicago?
No doubt about it. You can see it on
and so if you guys
Apple Podcast.
if you guys like what you've heard today with Alex and Jamie on this, be sure to like and follow their podcast and get more content from them. This is one of the best realty groups, brokerages that I deal with on a daily basis, and they're constantly growing and evolving to be better for the people around them. They're one of the best branded companies that are out there. So if you're looking into branding yourself and following what Alex and Jamie do inside of their brand, like and follow their 727, like and follow us. We're going to do more podcasts with them, I'm sure. So thank you again for joining us today. Love everything you guys are doing. Keep up the good work, and look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks.
You guys have a good
day.
Thank you.